Whoa!
Ooh.
Free content. Hello! How do you do, my fellow kids? It is I, No Micro for You, CSGO YouTuber extraordinaire, here with another groundbreaking and totally unique video about the newest weapon added to CSGO. Well, my take on the weapon is going to be original and one of a kind. So let me start off by showing you some live CSGO gameplay while listing off all of the weapon statistics that I stole from, that I researched from Sloth Squadron. Let's see here. In-depth analysis of the MP5-SD. The MP5-SD stats are heavily based off the MP7s. Many aspects of both guns are completely identical. Their recoil patterns are identical, as is their standing, crouching, and firing inaccuracy. Unlike the M4A1S and USPS, the silencer cannot be removed. Silencer-related stats. The MP7 has a tracer frequency of 3, one tracer every third bullet, while the MP5-SD has a frequency of 0, 6. Like other silenced guns, the MP5-SD does not fire tracers, its muzzle flash is also significantly less noticeable. So how do you use the MP5? Well, first off, before you hop into DM and totally get destroyed by hackers, you may want to get some practice with shooting the gun in some sort of aim map. Personally, I use Aimbot's training map by Uletical, mostly because it was the first option I saw in the workshop, and I don't really care enough to download other practice maps that I barely use to begin with. But before you start fragging, make sure to set the optimal practice conditions for your aimbot's training. Perfect. All jokes aside, there really hasn't been enough time since the gun's release to give any useful advice on the MP5-SD, especially since it hasn't even been released in competitive play. I'm not saying that Valve should have done that, considering their track record, but seriously though, out of all the new weapon additions to come to CSGO, the MP5 is probably the most balanced weapon that I've seen Valve create. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that in its current state, it could actually use a buff. Even though the MP5 has very similar statistics to the MP7, it seems to be almost opposite in effective playstyle. The kicker being that 10 points in increased running inaccuracy. Now, although 40 running inaccuracy isn't bad by any means, in fact it's better than the UMP and P90s, unlike other SMGs, it doesn't make up for the fact by having an amazing damage output, crazy firing speed, or excessive ammunition. So even with the boosted run speed of 235, you're probably better off just shooting while stationary. If anything, the MP5 does still retain a comparatively good crouching inaccuracy and very low recoil, making it pretty easy to shoot in that stationary fashion. Personally, I like to crouch and tap with the gun at medium to long ranges, and even crouch walk spam when I feel the need. But besides that, I don't really know how useful the addition of a silencer is for an SMG. Now, because the MP5 is only silent outside of something like 800 units, which, by the way, is kind of pushing it for an SMG's effective range, it kind of negates the whole silenced aspect that the silencer is meant to provide, in my honest opinion. Unlike the M4A1S or even USPS, the MP5-SD doesn't have that 1000 plus fatal headshot range for unarmored targets. So, go figure. Yet, the added silencer isn't completely useless, as it does remove bullet tracers and hides muzzle flash, so I guess it could be useful for spamming through smoke or shooting deaf and blind players, but who knows. At the end of the day, all of this insight might be moot if they decide to drastically change the MP5 a week from now, when it actually gets released into competitive play. Still, I'll probably be using the MP5-SD over the MP7. Purely based off the fact that I do not like using the MP7. That, and you can hit the MP5 when it's misbehaving. Join me next week when I bullshit over a 10-minute unboxing video for the new MP5 skins.